The Los Angeles Rams heading home after a two-game road stretch for only their second home game of the season, this time hosting the Philadelphia Eagles at SoFi Stadium. The Eagles coming in with a 4-0 record. The Rams, of course, sitting at just 2-2 right now. This game does kick off at 1:05 p.m. Pacific time, televised on Fox. We get Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson in the booth, and Aaron Andrews with Tom Rinaldi on the sideline. If you want to see if this game will be televised in your area, here is the distribution map. The Rams and Eagles game will be in the red zones. So if you are seeing that, of course, you'll be catching the Rams game just right on your television screen. But of course, this map is subject to change, but it usually doesn't change a whole lot. And I do feel like with the Eagles and Rams, this game in particular, we do kind of get burned on Fox being the single. If this was a doubleheader for Fox, it does kind of feel like the Rams and Eagles would have been televised. National radio broadcast on Compass Media Networks. Bill Rosinski and Steve Burline are going to be on that call. And if you are a bettor, the Rams right now sitting getting plus 4.5, which does feel pretty good. I feel decent about this game, although the Philadelphia Eagles are an absolute powerhouse coming in. The Rams also on the money line at plus 180, which is not terrible at all. And the over-under sitting at 50.5. With both of these offenses, I am definitely leaning towards the over in this one. Does feel like some points will be put up. Some notes in this game. So wide receiver Cooper Kupp has, of course, been designated to return. And while we are all pumped to see Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua on the football field at the very same time, we are still waiting on word if Kupp will play in this game. And if he does, how much will he play in this game? The emergence of Nacua does make it give the Rams the option to be a little bit more cautious with Cooper Kupp's return to the field. But the Eagles, of course, they're undefeated right now, one of two undefeated NFL teams, and they're in the Super Bowl conversation. So, of course, you would like to be at full power against a team like this. So, obviously, the Rams are a better football team when Cooper Kupp is on the field than when he's not on the field. And also, for fans going to the game, if you're going to be at SoFi Stadium this coming Sunday, the Rams teaming back up with Snapchat for an augmented reality experience. This time, it's with Carnival Cruises. There's apparently some kind of giveaway that they're doing in this game. And during the game, at some point, the infinity screen will turn into the Pacific Ocean, at which point you can pop open your Snapchat and kind of take a look around. There will be some kind of a filter, something you kind of go through and augment your reality. And I'm not sure exactly what's going down. It seemed kind of vague as far as the explanation. And I think that they're really trying to push it to people who are going to be there. So also, if you're my friend on Snapchat, send me stuff, dude, because that sounds awesome and I won't be there. So that sounds really fun. But this is not the first time the Rams and Snapchat have teamed up. Of course, if you were there at the game on Christmas Day last year against the Denver Broncos, they did something similar there, and it was a virtual snowball fight via Snapchat. And there was also, I don't know if you remember in 2020 when the Rams did release their new uniforms, that Snapchat had that filter where you could have on the jersey, either the bone or the royal jersey on Snapchat, which was really cool. I remember I didn't know about it at first, and I started getting Snapchats, people like wearing the Rams new jersey in like this weird filter looking thing, and it was like, what? And my life was changed from that moment on, which is very cool stuff. But of course, this time with Carnival Cruises. So pop in for that giveaway and open up that Snapchat while you're at the game this weekend, of course. And always, I'm always open to accepting videos and all that stuff from Rams fans. So always send them over to me. I absolutely love that stuff. Gary, John, they were all doing it. I love that stuff. So definitely do that. Also, some other things that you are looking for in this game. We have some milestones from multiple Rams players, and some of these could be hit as early as this week, but we are definitely kind of following these all season long. Starting with Matthew Stafford, he does need 3,713 passing yards to move into 10th most all-time in NFL history. Right now, he does have 1,229 on the season, which is second in the NFL. He is currently on pace for 5,223, and at this current rate, if his averages do keep up right now, he will actually reach 10th most all-time passing yards in NFL history in Week 18, if these averages hold up. So hopefully, obviously, we continue to see him slinging that rock all over the place and stacking those numbers up. He also does need 30 passing touchdowns to move into 10th most all-time in NFL history in that category, also passing Eli Manning. Eli sitting at number 10 on both of those categories. He needs 1,039 passing yards to pass Matt Ryan for second most ever in a player's first 200 regular season games. He is currently sitting in the third place spot behind Drew Brees and then Matt Ryan and then Matthew Stafford. He did just pass Peyton Manning just a couple weeks ago, so he is sitting right there. Tight end Tyler Higbee, the best tight end in Rams franchise history. He does need 46 receptions to pass Robert Woods for ninth most all-time in franchise history. Just 2 more touchdowns to pass Preston Denard to move into 10th most all-time in franchise history. He already does hold that record for tight ends. He does need 22 receiving yards to move into 9th most all-time in franchise history. So we feel like we should be able to see that at the SoFi Stadium field this coming weekend. And moving on to Cooper Kupp, his availability, of course, is uncertain, and that's actually why I haven't really talked about his milestones quite yet, waiting for him to touch the field. But because he might this week, of course, we're back to it. He needs 85 receptions to pass Henry Ellard to move into 3rd all-time in franchise history in receptions, and he also needs 3 receiving touchdowns to pass Ellard to move into 3rd all-time in receiving touchdowns. So he's sitting right now just behind Ellard, sitting with receptions as well as touchdowns. So 85 and 3. I mean, obviously 85, that's a lot of receptions, but this is also Cooper Kupp, who was a Triple Crown winner just a couple of seasons ago. I feel like if anybody could do it, it's him or Puka Nacua. But Puka's got a couple more years till he's in these conversations about all-time franchise leaders. But Cooper Kupp, he's kind of scratching at that door. He's right there, man. It's right there. Aaron Donald needs 3 fumble recoveries to lead the franchise all-time in that category, and he needs 1 sack. 1 more sack to pass Trace Armstrong for 30th all-time in NFL history. So yes, this weekend, if Aaron Donald gets a solo sack on Jalen Hurts, we will see him reach the top 30 all-time in sacks in NFL history. That is absolutely amazing. John Johnson, who's had a little bit of a up and down availability and playing time so far this season, he does need 11 tackles to pass Leonard Little in Rams history in that category. So kind of what we're looking for in this game, of course, from the Rams' perspective here, I think that just about everybody would agree that the Rams, even with a 2-2 record, are better than we thought they'd be. This team is playing very good football right now. Probably should have beat the Bengals, but it happens, whatever. We kind of talked about that going into the season, that this team's going to lose some games that they should probably win. Probably going to win some games that you should probably lose. That's just the way what happens when you have a team that's this young and full of this many rookies. Sometimes you're just going to see some things that you're just like, it just doesn't make sense to you, And I think that we're kind of seeing that right now. But it does feel like the Rams are better than most people thought coming into the season. And the Rams, they're as close to full strength as you would hope entering this game, of course. And yes, some guys have some bumps. It seems like Akello's always kind of going down with something a little bit. Joe Noteboom's kind of been in and out of the lineup a little bit. And then, of course, we didn't have A.J. Jackson last week, but A.J. Jackson should be back this week. And this would make the 4th game of the season with the starting unit. And I know that doesn't sound like much, but last year we didn't see back-to-back offensive lines going in from one game to the next until I think it was week 13, maybe 14. It was a record-breaking number. The Rams had more different starting offensive line setups last year than any other team in NFL history. So yeah, that's not a recipe for winning. But if A.J. Jackson does return this week, which he should, he was questionable going into this last game, but he should be available for this one. That would mean this is the 4th game out of 5 that we've seen the top 5 offensive linemen, which is seriously awesome. From last year, this is amazing. And on the Eagles side, Eagles are, of course, an extremely talented team. But entering week 5, I don't think we've seen the Eagles really put together a full game yet. I don't think we've seen them play to their potential. Even though they're at 4-0, I think that everybody kind of understands, and even Eagles fans kind of understand there's a little bit left out there that they are not yet grasping onto. So the Eagles right now appear to be beatable. And whether that lasts all season or not, that's not up for me to decide. We don't play them the rest of the season. We play them in week 5. And right now, going into week 5, they're certainly a beatable football team. The Eagles certainly have their weaknesses, but they fight till the end of each game. there is no letting up on Philly and just coasting to a win. Like, we cannot see some stuff that we did last week with the Colts, where going into the fourth quarter, we just kind of like let up, and they also, credit to the Colts, they did not stop fighting. But we can't let a team like Philadelphia kind of creep back into the game like that. You got to punch them in the mouth, and when the ref is like I'm thinking like MMA, like when the ref's pulling you off, you give them another elbow. Like, that's how you have to treat the Philadelphia Eagles, because they will fight until the clock hits 0. So you cannot let them get any opportunities. And they're obviously an extremely talented team as well. So you just can't let them stick around. You have to hold them down. You have to shove their face in the dirt, and then as soon as you think that they're like you're done and you're going to let up, just give a little twist. That's how you have to treat this football team, because they'll do it to you way faster than you could do it to them. So that's kind of what we're watching for in this one. No letting up against the Philadelphia Eagles. And of course, the Rams are expected to lose this game. The Philadelphia Eagles are 4-0. They're talk about Super Bowl right now. They're 4-0, one of 2 undefeated teams in the NFL. So a loss should not be met with the fan base being totally demoralized for the Los Angeles Rams. But I don't believe in moral victories. I believe in victories. So that's just a personal opinion. So whatever. But there also is something to be said about pushing this team to the final moments. So if we kind of how we felt leaving the San Francisco 49ers game. That game ended, and we felt like kind of like, okay, well, that was pretty good though. Like, we played well. Like, for this team being so young and in week 2, I mean, that's pretty good, you know. So I feel like we might have that same mindset if this game does come down to the wire like that, and maybe the Philadelphia Eagles pull one out close at the end. I feel like we would kind of have that mindset in this game, but we'll kind of see what happens here. A loss does not put the Rams out of contention for good, for sure, but a win launches the Rams into the media spotlight. The rankings of this team right now, a win over a team like the Eagles, definitely, like, okay, so that's with the rankings now, with the way that the offense is looking now, the sixth ranked, or the second ranked offense in the NFL, the 6th ranked defense in the NFL, but with a 2-2 record. I think that a win over the Eagles would get everybody's attention and kind of say like, oh, this team actually is a lot better than we thought, because with those losses that you look at to the 49ers and, of course, to the Bengals, you can say that you can twist around 4 or 5 plays and the Rams actually win those games. So I don't think that that's too far of a stretch. 49ers game, you had like the interception off of Kyren Williams' hands, the miscommunication to Tutu, the interception that was supposed to go to Van Jefferson. Those 3 plays alone probably lead to at least a closer game in the end. And then against the Bengals, it just felt like the game plan was not there. 10 carries for Kyren Williams, that kind of stuff just can't happen, especially when you're going against a team that cannot stop the run. Okay. But let's take a look at the matchup here in this one. So we have the Rams offense against the Philadelphia Eagles defense, and this is quite a matchup here. So the Rams offense sitting number 2 overall in the NFL, going against the Eagles defense, which is sitting middle of the road right now. They are 16th in the NFL on total defense. Rams passing the football are ranked 2nd in the league right now, and the Eagles defense is 27th against the pass. So certainly some concern here. I'm seeing it from Eagles fans that they are a little bit concerned about the potential return of Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell. They're all having those conversations right now. I'm quietly watching those via social media just unfold. I'm not chiming in, but I am watching. Rams, though, on the ground, only 18th in the NFL. Just really, I think it's a lack of attempts. I'll be totally honest here. But we'll see what happens against the Philadelphia Eagles, who are only giving up 63 yards a game right now, which is 2nd in the NFL. And points being put up, Rams are 24.5, that is 13th, and 22.5 given up by the Eagles, that is 16th, middle of the road. So this Eagles defense is certainly beatable. We can absolutely move the football on them. Their front is very strong, but it feels like their secondary is something that the Rams could take advantage of, especially if Cooper Kupp returns, Puka Nacua keeps doing Puka Nacua things, and Tutu Atwell continues to have his emergence this season like we've seen. I keep seeing this stat, no drop passes, and I guess that's true. Maybe I'm confused about what happened in what was it last week against the Colts. He had that 3rd down. I'm pretty sure that was a drop. I guess not, because they say he's got no drops. That's kind of beside the point, I guess. But the Rams offense has definitely been awesome, and especially, and maybe only in the pass game, in fairness, like a ground game hasn't really been that big of a threat. But this is all without wide receiver Cooper Kupp, who will get added soon. We don't know if that's going to be this week or next week, of course, or maybe even the week after. It's a 21-day window. We'll see when he gets activated, hopefully sooner rather than later. And then a future Hall of Famer, Puka Nacua, is off to the best start of a season for a wide receiver in NFL history. He just is. It's not just for rookies. That's for wide receivers. The two best NFL seasons for wide receivers as far as yards go, with Calvin Johnson and then Cooper Kupp. Well, Puka Nacua's on pace to pass both of those right now. Through 4 games, he's already got more receptions and yards than both of those seasons for both Calvin Johnson and Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, obviously that wasn't that long ago. And of course, one thing in common, Matthew Stafford. We kind of have been following that trend pretty closely here. The Eagles defense has some major weaknesses in the pass game, and if Stafford does have time, which, I mean, there's some questions because this front of the Philadelphia Eagles definitely has a lot of talent on it. But if he can get protected, he should be able to have a big day. And the Eagles against the run, they are awesome against the run. Their front gets some good push off the line, and the Rams' offensive line definitely has a good test this week. And we should get a perfect gauge on how good this offensive line is this week. Sure, San Francisco is absolutely a challenge. They have a strong front as well, but that's division. So I kind of look at that a little bit differently because you start to learn these guys really well. So this game where we haven't really played a lot against the Philadelphia Eagles, this should be a really good gauge to see exactly how good this offensive line is. We should get a good gauge on how these guys are working together, and especially if A.J. Jackson returns, that is a massive plus, of course. And Stafford, just some grades for you here. Stafford has the 7th best offensive grade for a quarterback and the 5th best passing grade on PFF. I don't really dig into PFF too much, but it is definitely an outlet, and hey, it's kind of cool numbers, right? And Nacua is the 5th best offensive grade for receivers right now. Kevin Dotson, who is not officially a starter, he has the 3rd best offensive grade for an offensive lineman and the 3rd highest run blocking grade, which is absolutely cool to see. Your 3-2-C on the offensive side of the football for the Los Angeles Rams. We're going to start with the offensive line, just in general. The Rams have a sweet opportunity here to show the rest of the league what they're made of. And all the eyeball tests and the numbers point to a solid offense, but the 2-2 record is jumping out to people, of course. And I like to think that if you just change those 4 or 5 plays between the 49ers and Bengals games, that this team could be 4-0, and this game could be like the game of the week, sitting with 2 4-0 teams. But, of course, that's not the way it worked out. But like I said, great test this week, but it's an opportunity to see exactly how good this team can be. A healthy line, as long as AJ comes back at left tackle against a defense who is struggling against the pass, could mean a pretty cool day for the Rams, and pass protection has been awesome for this offensive line, so I'm hoping that we continue to see that. And it does seem like the Eagles fans are concerned about quick passes, so quick slants, quick little things across the middle does seem to be the general consensus from Eagles fans on what they're nervous about when it comes to covering the Rams offense. Next up on my 3-C is going to be Puka Nacua, a future Hall of Famer, Puka Nacua. And as we await the return of Cooper Kupp, which of course could happen this week on the offense, the production of Puka is something that we will absolutely need to watch when it comes to the return of Kupp. But if Kupp gets on the field this week, it could be a bit of a distraction, which could mean that Puka does get a fairly weak pass defense, which could be wild. I mean, or you also look at Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp being teamed up with each other, and the defense is looking at those guys. We could also see a really big week out of Tutu Atwell if that is the case. But I'm sticking with Puka here because that dude is unbelievable. He is unreal. His routes are amazing. The way I was kind of talking about it on Ram Showcase Live, streamed live every Monday on the Ram Showcase YouTube channel and Facebook page. The way that he hit that cut in that touchdown play in overtime, that looked like it was Cooper Kupp wearing a different jersey out there. I mean, the way he moved made it look exact like that was some Cooper Kupp movements right there. So that was really cool to see. And last one here on my 3-C is going to be Kyren Williams coming off his first 100 plus yard game in his career. Kyren is going against, of course, the number 2 defense in the league against the run, and will hopefully, pending game plan, tell us exactly how good he is or how good he can be, with just 63 yards given up on average on the ground by the Eagles. A game out of Williams where he pushes maybe 80 should be considered a pretty sick win, and a healthy line with a good game plan. Williams could absolutely be like ready to really break open this Eagles defense, and especially if they're going to be really concerned about the pass, which they should be. Maybe that does open up some lanes for Kyren Williams. Or maybe I'm just being optimistic, but they're pretty good over there, especially against the run. So maybe I'm just being a little overly optimistic here. But I think Kyren Williams is awesome, and I do see that he's getting better every week. Like, it's small things too. The way he's hitting certain holes, it's just a little bit better every single week. And the more experience that he gets, the better he should be getting, right? That stands to reason, right? So hopefully that continues this week, and maybe he's the one that kind of breaks through this Eagles defense again, especially if they're more focused on stopping the Rams pass attack, which has been very solid, second in the NFL, and maybe leaving a little bit of attention away from the ground game. That's an absolute possibility. Let's take a look at the other side here, the Eagles offense versus the Rams defense. Eagles come in with number 5 total offense, putting up 405 a game, but the Rams defense giving up a little over 305 a game, which is 6th in the NFL, the 6th ranked defense in the entire league. Passing the football, the Eagles are tied for 12th in the NFL, while the Rams are 7th in the league against the pass. And especially with this young secondary, those guys are flying around out there. It's been so much fun to watch. Running the football, this is where the Eagles make their money. They are 2nd in the league in the ground attack, putting up over 165 yards a game. And this is where the Rams defense kind of struggles a little bit more, ranking 14th in the NFL, giving up 111 a game. And points being put up, the Eagles putting up just under 30 a game. Very impressive. That is 5th in the NFL. And the Rams defense is sitting at 15th in the NFL, giving up a little over 21 a game. So, of course, this Rams defense, they play like they've got something to prove, which they kind of do, right? Even Rams fans were kind of all over the place saying, like, we're going to be terrible on defense this year. These guys have no idea what they're doing out there. And kind of just seemed to be the vibe that nobody had any expectations for this Rams defense. So they all kind of came in and playing like they had something to prove, which was very cool to see. But this is a very powerful offense in the Philadelphia Eagles, of course, so that is something you got to watch for. And are the Rams, the team that has the ability to stop this tush push, which hopefully gets a new name soon, because that is so dumb. I like a brotherly shove. That's at least solid. Tush push, I hate even saying it. I think it's the dumbest nickname for a play I've ever heard, I think. But either way, the play is very unstoppable, and that's the important part. And it doesn't seem like the league is going to really be in a rush to take this out of the game. So somebody needs to stand up to it. Of course, the Philadelphia Eagles, very strong on offense. Their center, Jason Kelce, obviously he's very strong. And then you have Jalen Hurts, who is already a running quarterback. He's able to kind of wiggle in there and stuff like that. They just have a strong front that gets that push. So is an Aaron Donald-led front the one that can slow that down a little bit? That would be pretty cool to see. But of course, we'll kind of see if we even are in that situation. Seems like other teams are trying this play and they're not getting it done. But also, I got to say, the other teams that are trying this play, their strategy is not the same as the Eagles. So I think that they kind of take the basic concept and try to do it. The Eagles, though, have a very good plan with it. And it does move the chains and or score touchdowns on the goal line. So good for them. But of course, somebody's going to stop it and then they'll kind of shift stuff. So is that the Rams? We'll, of course, see. And then after last week with Anthony Richardson, going against Jalen Hurts will present the same level of obstacle. Anthony Richardson was kind of running all over the Rams there for a bit. And if the Rams defense can play how they did in the first 3 quarters against Indy, this could be a good game for the Rams. But watching Jalen Hurts and not letting him get out and not letting him just absolutely torch you all over the place, that is absolutely going to be a key for the Rams. We also didn't see a lot of situations where we had any kind of spy sitting on them. So seemed like stunts were kind of the plan to slow down the passing or the running quarterback. So I'm sure we'll see more of that this week. And especially if we can get a guy like O'Shawn Mathis back in there or something like that, maybe we can kind of see some cool defensive game planning. But I do think it helps that we went against a mobile quarterback last week, kind of get that vibe a little bit more kind of in the defensive heads. You know what I mean? They're kind of like watching for that a little bit more. And of course, the Eagles' ground attack is the reason this matchup makes me a little bit nervous here. The Rams offense will definitely have the pressure to score touchdowns, considering this Eagles team could be killing the clock. All right. This could be the first game that we see this season where the Rams are having trouble getting off the field and the time of possession getting skewed in favor of the opponent. We've seen the Rams do a very good job of getting off the field and kind of letting the offense take the bulk of the time off the clock. But of course, with a running defense a running team like the Philadelphia Eagles, who are able to do that stuff, that could be pretty difficult for this team. So obviously that's a lot of pressure on the offense, but defense, the goal is to get off the field. So the whole bend but don't break thing, I think that we kind of need to be a little bit more aggressive this week. We'll see what kind of game plan that Raheem comes in with this week. So also, maybe this is the week turnovers start coming in. So getting pressure on Jalen Hurts is obviously going to be important as well. But again, they've got some incredible wide receivers. And A.J. Brown's put up, I think, 130 in the last 2 games. So Akello's got his hands full. They've got other weapons as well. It's not like he's alone over there trying to do it all. So they've got 2 receivers who can regularly go over 100 receiving yards. So both Darian Kendrick and Akello Witherspoon absolutely have their hands full. Our safeties are going to need to have a big week as well, helping those guys out and kind of making sure that the top doesn't get absolutely blown off by these dudes. So big test for our corners in this game, but I like it. I like this matchup. As far as like completion percentage given up, I think that Akello and Darian are 2 and 3 in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. I think I saw that stat somewhere. But that's obviously awesome, right? So hopefully we get some pressure onto Hurts, and then these guys are shutting down those top targets out there. Your 3 to see in this realm is going to be Kobe Turner. With some injuries up front for the Eagles and Aaron Donald still existing, Turner could have some openings to wreck some plays. He has already shown that he is learning from Donald, and there was a play last week that was very Donald-esque. There was a play that Turner broke through the line. I absolutely thought it was Aaron Donald until we saw the replay, and I saw that it was 91. I was like, wait a second. That was Turner? Yo, that is so awesome to see. Plays that we accidentally, and maybe I'm alone here, but plays that we accidentally confuse him for Aaron Donald, that's a good thing. Dude's a rookie, and Aaron Donald's 32. If we could get a guy who can kind of play like that, that is very good news. Next up is Akello Witherspoon. With the young guys playing well, Witherspoon has definitely flown a little bit under the radar as far as the coverage goes, and especially here on Ram Showcase. And that's my bad, Akello. I haven't really given Akello much love here, so he's getting on the 3 to see this week. And this week, very important for Witherspoon. He's got his hands full again. The good news is the dude is playing out of his mind, and we might be 4 games into his best career season, which is very exciting stuff. And it's just a 1-year deal right now for Akello, so he is scheduled to be a free agent, but it wouldn't hurt my feelings to see this Colorado product, Colorado Buffaloes, that's where he went, to see him get an extension, although he does turn 29 in March, so of course we get him at 28 the rest of the season, and he is responsible for the Rams' lone interception. And, of course, Ernest Jones. Jones is a major reason the Rams are rocking the 6th-ranked defense in total yards right now, and he is getting guys into position, and it is showing. Some incredible leadership qualities coming out of Jones right now, and it feels like what we thought we would see from Ernest Jones, or what I thought we would see from Ernest Jones, it's unfolding on the football field, which is obviously incredible news. And Jones will be responsible for slowing down, helping call the shots on slowing down a team whose most recent loss was in the Super Bowl. So the brain matchup between Jones and Hurts is must-see TV. Let's see here. We're going to move over to the history. I do have some connections here, but I am kind of running low on my time, so we'll kind of move over here. So maybe I'll just make that a post, or that'll appear in the game preview on ramshowcase.com. So check it out there. But the history of this matchup, the Eagles do lead all time 22-20-1. So the Rams could bring it within 1 game with a dub. The most recent game between these two came on September 20th of 2020. The Rams did win that game 37-19. And the first ever game between these two teams came on September 21st of 1937, which was a 21-3 victory for the Cleveland Rams. And there's not a lot of games between these two, especially when you think about that the series started in 37. That is almost 100 years ago. I think we feel comfortable saying that right now. Is that okay? Can I say that? Oh, almost 100 years ago. And we are under 50 matchups with them. So it's kind of interesting, especially with two NFC teams here. And before the Rams win in 2020, the Eagles had won 6 straight against the Rams, and that was between 2004 and 2018. The Rams' longest win streak is 7, and that came between 1964 and 1978. The Rams did win the first 4 games against the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles at the Rams, so the Rams hosting Philadelphia. The Rams do lead that all-time series 10-7-1. And I would say the most memorable game between these two, at least for myself, maybe yours is different, is that January 27th, 2002 NFC Championship game to send the Rams to the Super Bowl. This was Warner versus McNabb, Deuce Staley versus Marshall Faulk, and then also the Philadelphia Eagles team that year. Very, very talented team. They had Freddie Mitchell, Todd Pinkston, James Thrash, and of course the Rams rocking Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Oz Hakim. What a matchup. And I do believe that game is on YouTube, so go watch it because it's awesome. That is some good stuff right there. There's some good, genuine football right there. So that is your game preview. Again, we did have to skip over some stuff because I got fan quesos coming up next on the podcast version. If you are watching on YouTube, hit up the full podcast. You can check out what we talked about before the game preview, and of course, our fan quesos on the back end here. So thank you for hanging out with me here. But we got the LA Rams hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. Big old game in this one. And I got to say, I do feel pretty good about this game from the Rams' perspective. And I don't know if that means that the Rams are going to win this game. I don't know if I'm predicting the Rams win this game. But I do think the Rams will have a better performance than people are expecting against the 4-0 Philadelphia Eagles. So we'll take another quick break here on the podcast version, and we'll be back on the other side with fan quesos. Again, if you are watching on the YouTube channel, thank you so much for hanging out with me. RamShowcase.com for the rest of your information. We'll take a quick break. Be right back after this.